Hey folks, here at OSMVTech3.com, you're watching our video review of the Sharp AQUOS phone. This is the IS13SH model that's exclusive for Japan and for Docomo, but you can also get it unlocked and exported like the version we have here for around $550. You can get it on Amazon.com and also other retailers. The interesting thing about the IS13 model, of course, it has a ticker display, which means it has a secondary display very similar to Samsung's Continuum that we saw as part of their Galaxy S series a few years ago on Verizon Wireless. Indeed, the phone has a primary display, which is 4.3 inches, and is a multi-touch enabled capacitive touchscreen that has a QHD resolution that's vivid and popping with colors, and also a secondary display that's monochrome that dubs as a touchscreen display as well, and it shows you your notifications like your time, date, and an analog clock, as well as your battery information when not in use, but when it's actually in use, it dubs as your standard Android controls, and they are touch sensitive. The interesting thing here is, of course, that this display is actually monochrome and black and white. This allows it to conserve battery, and when it's not in use, not going to drain your battery as quick, and also it shows you quick notifications to your email, incoming texts, and also new email messages as well. Taking a look at the other design aspects of this phone, it has a 1.5 GHz dual-core processor, 1 GB of RAM, and 4 GB of internal flash storage, expandable via a SD card slot, or a micro SD card slot that's actually located behind the battery cover. The phone is also waterproof and dust-proof. It's been compiled by FCC, and so you can actually drop it in light water, light rain, actually take a dump with it. If you are accidentally drop it in some water, it's actually going to be fine. So it is more durable than most phones, even though it doesn't really look that way because it's built like most other Android phones out there, which is a slab of black plastic that's elegant but kind of generic. The top device features the Sharp AQUOS logo, which is a little bit difficult to see here on camera, but there's also an LED indicator for the notifications, as well as the ambient light sensor and the earpiece. Interestingly, Sharp decided to omit a front-facing camera on this AQUOS phone. This is an interesting omission because in most Asian countries, video chatting is an application that's been running for a long time, so we're kind of surprised to not see that feature on this phone. The left-hand side device features a power on and off switch, as well as the Sharp logo. You also have a micro USB for charging and syncing information. The top features a 3.5mm headphone jack and also a pry hole for the battery. The right-hand side of the phone features a volume rocker, and you can also see a lanyard slot. And the back of the phone, which is a fingerprint magnet, comes with the Google logo, an 8.0 megapixel autofocus camera, and an LED light that also dubs as the focusing sensor, and also a speaker. You'll notice that the back of the phone where the camera comes out slightly has a slight protrusion on here to make room for the optics of the camera, but overall it is pretty slim and definitely a pocketable and manageable device that is respectable in terms of size and also style and function. Now, the interesting thing about this particular phone is that even though it's released very modernly, it runs on a very old version of Android. Actually, it runs on Android 2.3 Gingerbread, which we were kind of shocked with. Now, Sharp is promising a future update to this phone for a more recent build, but again, it's something that's kind of interesting coming from Sharp. Speaking of, Sharp is a company we haven't really seen a lot of here in the United States, other than being the producer of some very basic phones, and also we've seen them make the Kin phones for Microsoft, but those phones all tended not to fare very well in the United States, and as such, the AQUOS phone and more high-end Android phones are more suited for the Japanese market from the manufacturer. Now, you can see here that the main screen again has a QHD resolution and is extremely vivid and easy to see. This is only at half brightness, and you can already see that the screen is very easy to see even in direct sunlight and bright environments. Now, believe it or not, the screen can get even brighter, even more vivid, and this is where Sharp has incorporated its technology from TVs onto this particular phone. The display is simply awesome, and you can also swap between vivid mode and normal mode. So taking a closer look at that selection, you can go to Settings, Display Settings, and we can go to Brightness. Now, first of all, the full brightness is as follows, but the vivid mode allows you to see the colors in a more vivid sense. If you're thinking that the display right now is already pretty good, you'd be right. The display is already very vibrant and easy to read, but enabling the vivid mode allows the device to be even more animated, and you can see a definite difference between colorful icons and the such, and images and text tends to pop out a little bit more, but using the vivid mode definitely drains the battery. Speaking of, the battery life for the Sharp AQUOS phone is on the mid-range of the spectrum. Battery life will definitely last you around a day of usage, of course if you're browsing the web occasionally and calling, that is, but if you use it on standby, it's actually going to last around 3 days, which is not bad at all. So again, the screen itself is very impressive, viewing angles are extremely good, and the responsiveness of the touch is overall pretty decent as well. Occasionally the phone will be a little bit sluggish, which we were kind of surprised with the 1.5 dual-core processor on board. We expected the phone to be fairly snappy, but occasionally when you're transitioning between different applications and between different menus, the phone occasionally gets a little bit sluggish and it tends to slow down a little bit more. As you can see here, even though it runs Android 2.3, Sharp has done a lot of upgrading in terms of the operating system and the UI experience. They've essentially tweaked the menu navigation so to have different tabs for different applications like functions, your tools, your utilities, your communications, and your camera and services, and so on and so forth. And this is a pretty easy way of accessing your applications, and we definitely liked it a little bit more. It's more simplistic, and it's great for the first-time smartphone user. You can also terminate all your applications or swap between open applications and multitask by pressing the home button for a few seconds longer, and then closing off your open applications or quitting all of them and ending all applications. As far as the call quality is concerned, here in the United States, the phone only runs on 3G and not 4G, unfortunately, but we found that the microphone was really receptive, and callers said they didn't have any issues with hearing us, and reception was also quite good, which is always good. We tested this phone on both AT&T and T-Mobile networks here in the United States, and both worked without a hiccup, but again, you're not going to get blazing speeds over web browsing unless you use Wi-Fi. The phone also comes with Bluetooth 3.0 and some other wireless iterations that can only really be found and useful in Japan. But overall, it's a fairly complimentary phone. It also comes with GPS built in for navigational services as well. The drop-down navigational bar, as you can see here, has also been customized by Sharp. Notifications such as the wireless information, the battery life, and the battery reception, and also the animation for the screens have also been tweaked so you can easily access them and also tweak around with them. And also applications have been slightly enlarged, and icons have been a little bit more vibrant, a little bit larger, more toy-like, and been changed by the manufacturer for the better, we think, in this instance. So actually the interesting thing about this phone is that it also has another UI customization on top of this layer of Android. This is the first version that you're seeing here, but there's also a second version that's been customized by the carrier of this particular phone in Japan. And we can swap between those by going into the applications and going into the home applications and swapping into the AU Home. This is a different as you can see, it's a different navigational overlay on top of Android, and now the icons are more round and more bubble-like, and instead of offering a more traditionalized view, things tend to get a little bit more cuter in this version, for a lack of better word. It tends to be a version of Android that's more suited for kids and younger audiences. And if I wanted to press on the applications drawer, you can also see it's now in full color. There's a lot more animations like cubes being spun around, more colors, more vibrancy. So again, it's definitely a UI more designed and geared towards younger crowds rather than the traditional version, which is more for the regular crowd. I have to say that I found the regular home screen to be a little bit more useful, but the ability to toggle back and forth between two different skins with two different sets of applications and home screens I can customize is a pretty cool feature and very reminiscent of some other skins we've seen on Android in the past, but it works fairly well. Now, taking a look at the web browsing experience, it's also fairly decent. We're browsing over the Wi-Fi network here, but you can also bring up the keyboard. The keyboard has also been, as you might guess, slightly customized by the manufacturer because it supports both Japanese and English, but you can also swap back and forth between the regular standard Google keyboard, and that will allow you to add more languages if you so do desire. I can go to somewhere like google.com, for example, and you can see that the keyboard is pretty responsive, and there's also predictive text. Pinch to zoom is fairly responsive and lucid, and there's not a lot of stuttering at all when you're browsing the web, which is certainly good. The device also comes with Flash enabled in the web browser, so you can also watch Flash videos such as YouTube and other sites directly from the web browser instead of using the mobile applications that are built into the phone. Some other built-in applications that you can see from this device includes some access to the Play Store. You have Gmail services, a voice recorder, documents to go for editing and viewing your Excel, Word, and PowerPoint versions. There's a digital pedometer on here, which also utilizes the ticker display. It shows you the steps as you're walking around. There's also a compass, which works fairly well, and it's a nice feature to have. So I'm not going to show do the current location, but you can see how the compass actually works pretty well. So it also has a compass in here, and in addition to the accelerometer and also the GPS functionality, which makes the device a pretty powerful navigational tool. There's also a notepad, Google Places, Google Latitude, some basic radio services, and essentially that's it. Taking a closer look at some of the imaging technologies is built into this phone, you have a very powerful 8.0 megapixel camera. We have to say that this is the best camera we've seen from a 8 megapixel shooter in a very long time. The reason lies between the phone's sharpness when taking images and the fact that close-up shots are still extremely in focus, and the wide-angle lensing. For example, this is a shot of a battery that's very close to the camera, but I can tap to focus and then take the image all in a matter of seconds. It's very quick, and also the resolution is fairly impressive and incredible. It manages to actually focus into the fine details extremely quickly, even in very, very detailed environments and very small environments. You can also shoot video at 1080p HD resolution, and those can also be directly uploaded to YouTube and also other video hosting applications and sites around the web, which is also very cool. There's also other filters you can apply. One notable feature that lacks from this particular phone is the availability of panorama shots in the camera. This means that if you're planning on using this phone in order to shoot long landscape views, this will actually not work. That said, it's still a very impressive camera sensor, and of course you can also install third-party camera applications from the Play Store if you so do desire. Overall, the Sharp AQUOS phone, the IS13SH, is a very impressive device. We think that it's definitely suited and geared for mid-end to over even high-end smartphone users looking for a very unique smartphone experience. So it'll definitely set them apart from the crowd, especially if you live in the United States. Taking a look at the ticker display just one last time, you can also even change the backlight and also change the resolution and also the contrast of the screen as well, and the what type of content will be displayed when you are actually using it, which is also something that we haven't really seen before. So for example, if we go to the settings, and let's see if I can find the settings first, and I select the display settings for the ticker, you can see how the clock display can be changed for things such as the pen clock. It can be displayed like this. It can also be displayed such as the overflow, neutral, hearts, which is a more animated version of the display. There's the overflow, which is a giant text, and say we want to use that, we turn the phone off, and you will see how the display has now been changed. So this customization is something that's really unique that we haven't really seen before, and it suits most people's styles. If you want to, you can also customize them, and you can also see which applications can have access to the ticker display when the phone is actually off. We can also invert the display. So for example, if we can reverse black and white on the during sleep mode, we want to do white background, for example. So now we can turn the phone off, and instead we have a white background instead of a black one. Overall, again, the Sharp AQUOS IS13SH phone is definitely an impressive device. It has a very unique set of features, a very unique build, a very unique operating system. And so again, if you're looking for a solid Android phone to get you started, or perhaps a really good camera on an Android device on a very solidly built form factor, you want that waterproof functionality, you want that interesting ticker display, we would definitely recommend this model over other ones such as the Samsung Continuum. That said, there are definitely more powerful Android phones on the market, and if the ticker display is not the main selling point for you, then you can definitely get better deals elsewhere as well. Perhaps with a contract here in the United States will cost you significantly less than getting an unlocked model, for example. Anyways, it's been our full review of the Sharp AQUOS IS13SH. Thanks for watching here at osandvtxreviews.com. This has been the Sharp AQUOS phone.